All right, so it says, however.
Yes.
So that's the paragraph you chose. Yeah? And what is the challenge? What's the problem? Or what do you guys
vi konstaterade att varje mening som du har med i den paragrafen är kopplad till syftet med studien.
Mm-hmm.
Och men du pratar om att i första meningen så finns det möjligheter att minska de negativa konsekvenserna av åldrande, och sen i den sista meningen så föreslår du kopplar det igen med att man kan göra interventioner och
I think
ja.
looking at it, I think maybe this paragraph and this paragraph could have been put together, because the first part is mostly about physical activity can be used to kind of alleviate the physical decline, and especially team games are have possibilities. So this sentence says something about, okay, we're just coming from a paragraph that says it's not cool to become old. It's not fun at all because you deteriorate physically and mentally. And then we say, however, there are possibilities to kind of prevent that. And then we suggest physical activity can be used to counter the physical decline. And then we say something about team games are in particular good because they have the intermittent nature of the activity and can produce health benefits. So something about this is all about how we use physical activity interventions to counter the physical decline that the aging produces. Yeah? And then this first sentence is the next paragraph, kind of sums up already. We can also do something about the decline in psychological health, and then we move into physical activity, intervention with groups, especially for isolation and loneliness, and then we move into an example, because it's always a good idea to kind of reference the studies you've already been doing, so your impact factor looks a little better. And then in the end, this kind of sums up both this paragraph and this paragraph. Yeah? I'm not sure what your question was, or if I answered it, but kind of it makes sense to me at least. But then again, I wrote. I was one of the people who wrote the article. There was something I wanted to say about it. Right. As you can see here, this sentence concludes the last paragraph. It seems that old age makes people prone to temptation, both in physical and psychological health. So that's a good sum up of that paragraph, and it should kind of lead into the next section. So the next section, it seems like it should come naturally after the section, the paragraph that has just been there. So we know that old age comes with deterioration, and then the first sentence kind of follows up on that, but introduces there are possibilities to prevent it. Yeah? Does that make sense? Cool. What else did you look at? Or did you all look at the the same little paragraph. I think we should take a couple of examples because, I mean, this is.
Jag tittade på den under. Där är nu. Ja, den som är översatt.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe you can tell us what's going on here.
Jag uppfattar det som att syftet med paragrafen är att förklara att fysisk rörelse kan ha positiva psykologiska effekter.
Mm-hmm.
Ja.
Yeah. And also both, I mean, I already gave it away most of it, but both this section and this section up here kind of in a more or less elegant way introduces something with team games or physical activity in groups or something like that. So we're kind of building up to a social aspect that we want to investigate. And as you can see from that section we just looked at, it concludes physical activity can be used. And then we move into what kind of physical activity, and here we mentioned that team games are even better than individual physical activity, and then we kind of argue that in this paragraph. Was there anyone who looked at this paragraph?
Yeah.
All right, maybe you can take us through it then.
Okej. Ja, men att lagspel är typ, det är bra för den sociala biten, den psykologiska och fysiologiska biten. Att det är bevisat att det var nej, jag tappade. Det hade något där. Men att de har någonting att se fram emot när de träffas och spelar för att det är skoj och sådär.
Yeah. It's again something with the kind of the levels you operate at. This first sentence is very to introduce team games as something extra good. And then it gives us an example of football and floorball training that seems to bring about important health benefits. So it's kind of, that's a sentence geared towards the physical part. And in all the paragraphs before this, we had the physical part first and then the psychological part afterwards. So it kind of follows that pattern. But then we want to talk a little more about team games. So they seem to be motivating, and we even explain that it's because of the interactive and social nature and the element of play that seems to be a key motivating factor. That is not present in individual physical activity. So that's where we kind of highlight team games better. And the bright student might conclude that reference 21 is a study based on self-determination theory. And then on top of that, there's also something about the team activities can give participants something to look forward to and belong to a group. And that can decrease social isolation, so there's a positive consequence of that, but also it will increase their extrinsic motivation, which is mentioned in the next sentence. Although we don't want to bring intrinsic or extrinsic motivation into this discussion because it's not central. So we're kind of leaving out the difficult theoretical terms. Yeah, and then we have another study, blah, blah, blah. Nielsen and al. Found so and so, and some other people found so and so, and then we don't end that paragraph particularly well, because they just kind of move on into building on those studies and introducing Bourdieu. Obviously that's applied to that because we're using that later in the article, but as you can see, we don't really sum up this paragraph. It leads well into the next one, and that's fine, but we could have maybe worked a little more on that. So I think, these are some examples of how to do it, and as I said, this is not something we just sat down one day and wrote. We sent it back so many times between people and just tweaked a little word and said maybe this paragraph should go here, blah, blah, blah. So it takes time. And if you want to do it really well, no matter how brilliant you are, it will just take a lot of time and looking through it again and again and giving other people a chance to look at it and ask, okay, so maybe if there's something they don't understand, maybe it's because you didn't explain it well enough, and stuff like that. So just, you just have to really get into it and work with it on the detailed level. And I mentioned a colleague that maybe, I'm hoping he's not watching the video, but maybe he's not the best writer. So it's not like, nobody's expecting you guys or even people that are teaching here to be very good at it. But it's just nice to know because it will probably help your writing in future assignments. Yeah? Okay, so are we more or less clear on how the process is and what's expected of you guys to kind of get the good structure going? More or less?
So when I started to write the introduction, I was writing more literature review. But now I understand that the literature review is maybe not the best way to structure introduction.
The literature review is a necessary part of the introduction, so that's good. But when you do the literature review, every time you mention something from the literature review, it has to have a purpose for the reader. So the literature review is maybe a gift you're giving the reader, but how you write it is the packaging. And the better the packaging, the better the gift is received.
Because if you write a literature review, then maybe you will not mention all the references then in the discussion. Because
Right. I think if you mention something in the literature review, it's because it has some relevance to your study, and then it should be discussed in relation to the results. Maybe sometimes when you do a literature review, right, there have been so many studies on this and blah blah, and the literature is bundled, and then you kind of just give 10 references, and those don't have to be mentioned again. But if you mention something in detail, just one sentence, it should be discussed also. Having said that, I know you guys have very little room for discussion, so then you'll have to make a choice of whether or not. I'm not going to fail you guys if you have 2 references in the introduction that you don't discuss, because even if you didn't have a very short discussion section or conclusion section, that's not an error that's big enough to take significantly down from your grade. But in a perfect world, everything you mention in the introduction will be discussed in the discussion. So it's up to you guys to choose the most important parts to kind of bring out in the discussion. Yeah? Something to think about, but hopefully it will help you guys a little bit with with getting it done. And as I said, it's not in any way a linear process that just happens naturally. It can be very frustrating, and it can be you can produce a writer's block, and there's all sorts of problems that that you guys will face to a larger or lesser extent when writing it. But given that you only have a week, then the problems on the detail level, you might not have time to do that, and that's okay. I mean, yeah, as I said, nobody expecting you guys to write a research article. This is the expected level is lower. So, yeah, cool. If you guys have any problems or questions, shoot me an email, and then we can meet and talk a little bit, or answer the email if it's an easy question. So, yeah. Okay. I want you guys to work in the pairs you're writing the assignment in, just to build on this a little bit, and try to kind of get the overview of your assignment. So I want you guys to talk a little bit about your conclusions of the interview, or the expected conclusions. I mean, if you haven't done the analysis yet, it's pretty hard to arrive at the conclusions. But sometimes it's easier writing the introduction and the methods if you already know what kind of conclusion you're arriving at. And then decide which point you want to make in your discussion that should lead up to the conclusion. So, well, I raised that, but the funnel approach, so we have the discussion, and then in the end, a conclusion that's kind of a bit short and kind of just hits, straight in the center of your message. Then I want you to place them in the right order, and we'll skip this last part, but maybe instead I want you guys to try take the points in the discussion that you are hoping to make, place them in the right order as you see fit, and then try to think about if you can write an introduction with the same points in the same order. Except that, I mean, you're not making the points, but maybe you can kind of write the introduction so it has the same structure as your discussion, which includes your points. Does that make sense? So if you have let's see, I'll give you an example. In your discussion, you arrived at continuing the quality of life of middle-aged women example. In the discussion, I'm expecting to mention that there are several reasons for low quality of life. So that's, let's say, loneliness and stress and blah blah. So we have loneliness and stress in the conclusion or in the discussion, and we also have reasons why they don't participate in physical activities. So that could be lack of time, they don't know where to go, and blah blah. So these things should be kind of touched upon in the introduction. So I should have something in there about, what did I say, loneliness. And that is one short paragraph where you say, loneliness is also contributed to low quality of life. Studies show that blah blah women, they don't have anyone to talk to, or blah 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 blah. Something like that. And the other one was stress. So in the introduction you should say, stress contributes to low quality of life because women feel that they don't have enough time to do something like that. So that will lead very nicely up to the points you will make in the discussion where you say, the middle-aged women actually mention that they don't that they are very lonely, and especially if they are single and don't have any children living at home or something like that. That connects very nicely to the studies you mentioned in the introduction, where it says so. Yeah? Was that a little more clear? Cool. Okay, so I want you guys to try and work with that, and it's just, you don't have to write sentences, but just kind of make a bullet point list of the expected points you are going to have in the discussion, and try and see if that order could work for your introduction as well. Yeah? So let's give you guys 10 or 15 minutes to do that, and come around and help if you guys need that, and then we'll move on to the second part of the competition. Cool? Get to work.
Johan?
Hmm?